Aiden Me is a sort of a skit written by many volunteers, where we make an effort to not take ourselves so seriously.
Apparently, the buzzword in A these days is diversity.
I don't believe that. They talk about diversity, but they always, at every single conference, want to be rice and dal.
It's always the same. Rice and dal. Rice and dal at every single conference. And the cake over Aiden Me too. I've never seen meat in it. What about you? Everyone never might as well call themselves forever. That's true. 40-year-old scriptwriters bring in 30-year-olds and call themselves newer and fewer. Seriously.
And did you notice that the writers never make fun of themselves?
But haven't they just made fun of themselves? Well, there's a youth conference now. Isn't that good for diversity? Oh, buzzword! But that's the point. Next, they'll tell us to come up with Aiden kids while they're hogging the main show for themselves. Just like forced kids meals and tables. Those people, don't they know segregation when it stares them in the face? Seems like the game is fixed by design.
That's it. Either next year they give us a bigger part in Aiden Me, or else. Yeah, did you just get speaking or something?
I don't know, 40-year-old, 30-year-old, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, Newer, what is going on these days? What's the latest trending topic of the day?
Oh, you mean in 8 or generally?
I thought you were generally in 8 only.
Well, I guess that is the crux of the problem. There is a generally in our lives and then there is the 8 part.
Wow, so deep.
Speaking of trending topics, did you figure out why Katappa killed Bahubali yet?
Wait. You and Bahubali? What happened? I need to call Emma and propose this misdemeanor right now.
You have 3 guesses.
Okay, because Bahubali asked him to join the EV and attend those weekly calls. Because Bahubali asked him to join the EV and attend those weekly calls.
Although only current and former EB members think that joining EB is a topic that is of general interest.
Okay, what about Bahubali asked you to fill a 5-minute survey that needed 4 people across 3 different time zones to coordinate and gather information?
Good guess, but go on.
How about Bahubali told Katappa to coordinate a multi-chapter project and get project partners funded on time?
That would definitely do it. But your guesses could well have been about Rashi, the real Bahubali name.
Actually, I heard Bahubali the movie. I didn't see it, but I heard it was pretty awesome. What with like really strong female characters and all. Even you must have approved, no?
You mean the strong female characters who had to meet Bahubali to realize their femininity? And how about the casual racism of showing the dark-skinned Adivasis and referring to them as barbarians?
I really have to stop discussing movies with you and everyone, man. Absolutely no fun.
Oh, please.
Your comment about the patriarchy and racism in Bahubali, though, it reminds me of something that I've been thinking about lately. It sometimes seems that we are more easily able to identify what we should not do as opposed to figuring out what our positive alternatives are.
You mean as aiders in everyday life?
Yeah, as, like no Walmart, no Styrofoam, no Coke, etc., etc. But I feel like we stop short of embracing the alternative vision.
True. It is sometimes easy to cut something out than to add something in. Well, unless you are 8 DCs, of course.
Are you referring to those Booker and Pulitzer Prize worthy DC reports that came out on CBC some time ago?
Yeah. No, Arvinda, in publication team editing sessions, would always tell us to write succinctly, brief is impactful, etc., etc. Her report was 13 pages long.
What about Somnath? His lyrical writing style gives Chetan Bhagat novels a serious run. His report may have well been titled, "All of Us Are Idiots," an age story.
I think we would do well to be more inspired by the writings of A's own Bhagat, Skit and Shanti. But really, in keeping with our current leaders, perhaps next year BOD should ask them to send just 4 tweets each on their work.
But back to topic. I mean, how is it that we say no to Walmart, Styrofoam, Coke, etc., but it's okay for, Amazon Prime, it's okay for Gatorade, even paper cups nowadays are okay.
Who said paper cups are okay? They are not. That's why Naga ordered biodegradable eco-ware all the way from China for the conference.
I thought 8 conferences were supposed to be zero waste, no?
Our definition of biodegradable and zero waste actually degrades over time.
So then on the other hand, we have aiders like Asti, for instance, who live a completely all-natural existence. To make pasta for one dinner is like she first plants the basil seeds, harvests the leaves, substitutes local almonds for the pine nuts, grinds them all together to make pesto, and then makes pasta.
Well, I would be very hungry by the time that dinner became ready.
So would I.
Our very existence involves tremendous hypocrisy. I guess we just need to strive to reduce that hypocrisy in whatever way we can.
Yeah, so we say yes to Uber, yes to Desi style restaurants which pays waiters poorly, yes to global multinational employers. Avoiding the worst offenders of the values we claim to stand for is merely the tip of the iceberg, no? And then we seem to be okay with that name. I mean, I sometimes wonder if everything is as binary as that.
You are demonstrating another A trait. Whenever we illustrate a point, we jump to maths or science analogies, like Balaji.
True. But I mean, I at least wish Balaji would stick just to math and science. The other day he tried to diversify by sharing a completely fake story about eagles reaching middle age and tearing out their beaks and talons. The moral of the story was how to be ready to embrace change and soar like an eagle.
Wow. I only hope that story doesn't make it into Eureka biology textbooks. But coming back to our non-binary existence, engaging with local issues and people is also part of it, I think. Or else our inspiration will only come via email, WhatsApp and Facebook.
Why does this sound like a broken take, man? I mean, it's almost like an Aiden Me script from yesteryears, no?
Well, speaking of yesteryear have been, here is ever and never.
Man, it was first called the RRF during the tsunami days. Then somebody said it should be AIRF and could also be used for other disaster relief. I clearly remember there used to be a forum topic about this.
No man, you're confused. It was never called RRF. And it was not a forum topic, but it was documented on Wiki.
Do we need to cover
And one
these two?
needed only 2 levels of approvals to get access to that document.
No way. But anyways,
God, say they go again. Arguing about stuff nobody cares about anymore.
so what's up, newer and fewer? What are you up to? What's cooking?
Cooking? In aid? This is another thing that we gave up on when we stopped stuffing dishas in envelopes.
Perhaps in Bay Area, but in 8 Boston potlucks, Nitin Gujaran still makes his dal kisan, farmer's dal. And so Somnath still force-feeds people his world-famous Rajma Chawal.
Dude, this stuffing disha in envelope thing only makes sense when we have dishas to stuff. We stopped stuffing in dishas in envelopes because it was too inefficient. We then tackled the root of the problem.
Hey, did you hear some ED member actually thought Kool-Aid is still being produced?
That is so like 2014. Move on to what? Actually nothing, but moving on.
No, we were discussing how in air we have some Lakshman Rekhas like no coke and all, but we seldom articulate and reflect upon what that alternative should look like.
Sounds familiar. Did you agree to disagree in the end and unanimously decide to talk about it next time?
That's what we did.
However, did you notice we only took right turns all the way to get here, no lefts at all?
Why?
Because the theme of the conference is rights-based approach.
Very funny.
No man, but seriously speaking, I thought we no longer had a campaign scheme. So what is up with this sudden interest in rights-based approach?
You know, sometimes it's only when one doesn't have something that one truly knows what is good for the other person. That is the highest state of empathy.
Dude, did you just come back from attending one of Sri's functions on the bank of the Yamuna? But seriously though, when we talked about Sangarsh in aid, we never thought it would become an oxymoron this quickly.
You know, campaign scheme used to be called Your Voice Counts. Then it was renamed Your Voice and Action Counts. Then it was renamed campaign scheme. I think since people still did not get the point of it all, Santosh Rohit suggested we call it please sign the petition.
Speaking of EB members, did you know that this year the EB elections were conducted by a team of 3 officers?
Yeah, I saw that. Any idea why?
You know, there were concerns by the BOD that the previous election officer's email had gotten hacked.
What? Arvind's email account? How did they find out?
Apparently, Rashim and the BOD panicked when they heard that he had started responding to emails within 2 hours of this meeting. Arvind has since stopped reading Dishas altogether and he calls it fake news.
Which is funny because now the election officers have email and phone numbers of most eligible voters in AIM. And next year, the rumor is that you will be able to vote in EV elections only if you have an Aadhaar card.
You know, we have 3 election commissioners to certify the results for PUB's coordinator, where there wasn't even a candidate.
Now, the number of people conducting the elections equals the number of people standing for it.
Which equals to the number of people voting, and then there is a nota, quite a popular candidate.
Hey, speaking about elections, you know, with this vacuum due to the no pubs coordinator, Nishikant had stepped forward. He publishes one piece on his PhD research every day in an Indian newspaper.
His PhD advisor said he wanted at least 10 papers from his research. So he started contacting all Indian papers.
In filling PUB's vacuum, Nishikant is in stiff competition with the CBC. Their new handbook requires a session abstract all for itself.
And then they have the regular newsletters. This month in aid, this week in aid, this year in aid. Very soon, they will be sending daily intelligence briefings in aid.
What is this CDC team? Are they the chapter volunteer coordination team or are they the Central Vigilance Commission?
Whatever it is, we need more of this communication flowing in all directions. From EB cohorts to their teams, from aiders to the BOD.
Oh, speaking of which, a new volunteer in our chapter recently asked, what the heck is a BOD and what do they actually do?
The second part is easier. For every task that they want taken up, they add people to a new WhatsApp group. And after rushing, then mark the task as done.
I also heard that Asti is the chief WhatsApp group coordinator, even though she does not have a smartphone. She ensures process quality for creation of WhatsApp groups and adding members to them.
We now quote 8 volunteer strength in the number of WhatsApp groups created. So far, 35 chapters, 39 volunteers, and 900 WhatsApp groups.
Next stop, 8 white CSHs, also on WhatsApp.
Well, in fact, the Dallas chapter does everything on WhatsApp, from CSH to concerts to project site visits. They even tried mailing a check to Pankti on WhatsApp.
Jandy was shocked when BOD mentioned WhatsApp groups as a metric in a GBM. How low can we go with that? When will we finally learn to use Slack?
I think you new people don't realize how far ahead of its time 8BOD is, especially Dr. Bharat.
You mean how we came up with some very successful aid initiatives like that? I mean, $1 a day?
No man, I mean he makes Twitter look like a thing of the past. Have you not heard of Bichu Champs?
Did you what? Is that a new business?
Exactly, you need to be ahead of your times to understand it.
This is why you need to read your CBC emails, man. Fewer, or you miss out on all these Dr. B's puzzles. When someone asks Dr. B what religion he belongs to, he combined the first letters of all the religions and ended up with the acronym Vidyu. Or in other words, Hamsa Dekhen.
Hey Newer, by the way, isn't there a climate march, women's march, march for science, or the McDonald's protest in Chicago to attend?
If by attending you mean stopping there long enough to take 3 selfies, then no, today is off day.
Hey, it's not selfie taking tour, it's documentation. Hashtag resist, hashtag documentation.
Speaking of protest marches, you know we have talked about Sangharsh and aid for more than a decade.
Have you guys considered couples therapy? I mean, if you've not resolved something for 10 years, you probably are not going to, right?
And also, while we would like to be clear on what is not acceptable, we are less clear about the alternative.
Yes, but not knowing which alternative to work towards is better than saying Tina. There is no alternative. We should forever be cognizant of the pitfalls lurking in the alternatives.
The point is just like aid campaigns, our personal lives and aid lives contradictions still needs a lot of work.
Also seeing this as a process that leads us towards better human beings and not replacing one undesirable thing with another, like not trying to reduce our footprints by buying more green products or feeling good about ourselves because we recycle.
Yeah, and perhaps all that there is a journey. Making the journey more wholesome even if the destination is unknown.
A dynamic journey of increasing the net justice.
You know, Naga and Sucheta would refer to this as moving the goalposts in MBA speak.
These MBAs and their jargons. Did you see the name of the last conference session? Volunteer multifaceted engagement in projects.
Yes. I heard that Sucheta joining McKinsey has resulted in a huge change to aid various usage of terminology and functionality. Aid various CSHs are now officially called multi-volunteer high decibel contentious Millets are going to be renamed Profitable Multi-Donor Engagement over Paneer Tikka.
As if that's not enough, Jandy is now enrolled in a law program. He figured a good use of his skills of wearing down people instead of photo.
I wonder what happens when you mix McKinsey jargon with Jando techno babble legalese.
You get a very confused Amazon Alexa in your house. You know, one day I just responded, I give up, and the lady inside started weeping.
Okay, but coming back to campaigns, or the lack of them, you know, our generation uses technology to assert our voices and make a difference. Ever, do you remember how we first learned about Sony store torture through a video on social media?
Oh yes, that is true. I do remember how people across the world responded and helped her get immediate medical treatment.
Well, you do have a point. E-activism can be used effectively. People are willing to take action that results in actual change on the ground.
Yeah, like the Unilever Won't viral video campaign last year. Or you know, even the flash mob that 8 Boston did in the US in 2012.
Speaking of 8 Boston, apparently one Boston volunteer turned down the EB nomination because they felt there were already too many Bostonians on EB.
You know, Maryland folks were never that shy in the past. They believe strongly in the more the merrier model.
But seriously, is it true that Kirtana and Amrita are joining Arvind soon?
What do you mean? Their emails also got hacked.
No. You see, the life cycle goes something like this. Boston volunteer, then becomes Boston chapter president, then becomes EB member, and finally retires in the Florida of a lifetime election committee member.
Oh, I see. But what then happened to Pawan?
Well, he retired to 8 Bay Area, and then he retired from there and joined Arvind.
Speaking of 8 volunteer life cycles, Kiran is almost like the Ravi Shastri of 8. Played in every position in 8, from the new volunteer Bakra recruit all the way to Jeevan Sathi.
The only thing left for him is to now become a commentator on 8 issues. And 8-wide communication will reach never before seen levels.
And getting back to this e-activism thing, it's not like all we are doing is e-activism. I mean, look at how the young and upcoming chapter like Ann Arbor already gave us our newest campaigns coordinator. And did you see how Bay Area volunteers were inspired by Revati to make their own kitchen gardens? I mean, of course, being Bay Area, they have also developed a companion e-commerce market website to sell its veggies to local and organic hipsters.
Not just e-activism, e-capitalism also.
Well, say what you will about social media and e-activism, but it has definitely helped in making people more aware of social injustices. It has kept us connected with ex-aiders like Bittu and Karthik who actively participate in and educate us about struggles of Dalit and transgender communities in India.
And for the first time, we are having conversations and conference workshops around these sorts of issues as well, right?
This is true. Thanks to these discussions, I am now incredibly aware of my privilege as a heterosexual cisgender male. So just a year ago, I didn't know what cisgender even meant.
Wait, are you saying you learned something from initiatives of new generation of aiders? Oh, never wow.
Are newer? You know the old saying, if you become a Baba, you have to learn how to speak Hindi. It's like that. If you become an aider, you better learn to stay tuned to social injustices. If that means learning from newbies like you, so be it.
What a neighbor. I did not know you were capable of such deep philosophy, man. You are sounding like me. Here, take my official resident 8 philosopher of deep and profound Gyan Choda. It's yours.
Oh God, look what I have become.
It is this ability of 8 volunteers to continuously change and challenge themselves that fills me with hope for the future. We have to constantly remind ourselves to learn and set aside our blinders.
Agreed, but as my biologist friends might say, e-activism is necessary but not sufficient.
Sounds like something the ED would use to describe the BOD.
Speaking of which, how are the ED members actually doing?
They are all pursuing excellence in their respective avenues.
You mean each aid-wide team is attaining excellence? That's a first.
Oh yeah, like our very own Sri Mirle. You know, he loves theatre so much. Do you remember the Sterling Harshmander play they enacted?
Of course.
Well, he has produced another moving tearjerker this year.
Really?
Yeah, it's called 2016 Aid Fundraising Program.
Say what you want about each year, but each year our conferences are getting better. Last year was quality, this year is Wyndham, and we very nearly reached Radisson level. I think we have arrived at an organization.
Next year we'll arrive even more. It's going to be the Ditton Waikiki beach.
You know, Naga came up with a session called Leveraging Aid for Jobs, Relationships and Life. I think he misunderstood that this is not what was meant by Sangha, Nirman and Skit. I think he misunderstood that this is not what was meant by Sangha, Nirman and Seva. Which is why Neela promptly cancelled it.
A big advantage of online activism is the ease with which we can generate effective change. You heard about how John Oliver got so many people to sign the FCC comments page that the website crashed, right?
Yes, that was pretty amazing. We absolutely need to use e-activism to its strength. But we also shouldn't think that that is all there is to Sangharsh.
You know, Naga is actually very effective at online activism, you know. He sees a Sangro petition link, immediately shares it on Facebook, Twitter, and even on every single WhatsApp group he's part of. If he was on Instagram, he would be posting petition signing selfies, asking you to do the same.
Naga is a force multiplier, man. One-man army, like Amarendra Bahubali.
Our conference keynote speakers are such inspiring voices for the communities on the ground. Our connection to them should be what powers our activism, online or otherwise.
One way to keep motivated is to learn how other movements have done it. None of the major struggles in society has come about without a long and sustained fight, whether it was the Civil Rights Act in the US or the RTI Act in India.
Indeed, as Chomsky famously said, you can't expect an easy victory after one protest march.
In fact, you know you are in for it for the long haul, so you prepare yourself accordingly. For instance, when regular people run marathons, they have pacers. But when Naga decides to run a marathon, he prepares a set of collars to provide him motivation.
Mile 8, Pankti. Mile 10, Aisha. Mile 16, Dr. Bhagat.
And when he hit the ball at mile 80, I reminded him that 990 was due the next day.
Haha, the poor guy went without anyone talking to him from mile 19 to 26, thinking midweek was on the line.
Vivek is like the NSA. He's listening in on every call without you realizing he's even there.
So much so, nobody realized he took a 1 year sabbatical last year. Not even Carolina.
But ever, you and Chomsky are both right. We can't afford to despair or feel hopeless. We don't know what little thing we do is going to bring about large-scale change.
Like Snowden or Chelsea Manning.
Exactly. Or even as we discussed before, the struggle against Unilever. That struggle raged on for 15 years, but within only a few weeks after that video came out, they were forced to settle with the complainants.
Yeah, and as aiders, we can only dimly perceive small parts of the full picture from our vantage point, and sometimes need help seeing the bigger picture.
Is that why 8CRT calls themselves an advisory board?
How many more boards do we need? Advisory board, executive board, board of directors? I'm already bored.
With all our broken tape conversations about dilemmas and death of the campaign team, what is also true is that the next set of fresh ideas or idealistic volunteers are just round the corner. But for them to come find us and connect with the cause, we have to be on the path and leave our footprints.
Wait. Can you please repeat that Gyan again? I'm going to type it quickly. Post it on sharing experiences WhatsApp group, even before I fully understand what you just said.
Boy, enough Gyan ever and enough WhatsApping for today. 8 Chicago folks asked us to order our own takeout and go to Lake Michigan for the concluding session. Sharath even set up a live stream of aiders looking at the lake. So let's go.
Did you call Uber?
What? Uber? Did you not hear?
Lift.